If you've been watching this channel for a while, you're probably pretty familiar with the different solar systems that I've installed and reviewed. But it's been a while since I've made a video on why I am doing this, why I even started to begin with putting a whole home system on my house. So that's what I want today's video to be about. So by far the biggest reason as to why I put a whole home solar system with battery storage on my house, it goes back to about 3 or 4 years ago when the snowpocalypse happened here in Texas, when the whole grid went down and we were like, I don't know, 15 minutes away from being down for months out of power. I mean, the whole grid here in Texas almost collapsed. That was a wake-up call for me that I just couldn't rely on somebody else to provide the power I need for my family. So that kicked me into gear to start doing some research on what I could do. So about 4 years ago, my electric rate here in Texas was about 11 cents per kilowatt hour. Now over the last 3 or 4 years, that rate has gone up about 36% to now where it sits, which is about a little over 14 cents per kilowatt hour. Now that's still very affordable when you look at electricity rates around the country. And I could see like in California where I have family, their rate is around 34 cents per kilowatt hour. So Texas, we still have very affordable electric rates. So while that wasn't my number one motivating factor, like I said, it was more about having power when the grid went down, but still being protected from higher electric rates was also a big reason. Now, electricity rates have been rising faster than the overall rate of inflation, which was out of control about 4 years ago, and now it's slowed, but it's still rising. So why are electricity rates going up so high, so fast? Now, the first reason electricity rates are going up, and one I haven't spoke about yet on this channel, but it's definitely time to start talking about it, is the boom in AI, artificial data centers. Those centers are enormous. They are taking up gigantic amounts of electricity. Now, every time you use AI or a cloud service, that is using energy. And from what I am reading, the research I've done, a standard Google search using AI now, which pretty much is the standard, that uses up to 10 times more electricity than when you just did a standard Google search a few years ago. And the numbers are staggering. According to the International Energy Agency, the IAE, by 2026, data centers worldwide are expected to use more electricity combined than all of the country of Japan. So that really puts it into perspective. I mean, it's crazy the amount of electricity these AI data centers are using. Now, maybe technology changes and we find a way to power these AI data centers with some new technology, or the technology changes to where they don't use as much electricity as they do now. But that's not guaranteed. So it's only prudent to plan and understand how this is going to affect us here in the future. So with this increased demand in electricity, without new supply coming in, it's the standard supply and demand equation. More demand and not a lot of supply, rates are going to go up for everyone, and that's where we're at right now. And electric companies are even providing special rates and incentives to these giant corporations that are actually building these data centers out. So they're trying to recruit these companies to build data centers in these regions of the electric companies because, like any business, they want more business. And these AI data centers use a ton of electricity, so the power companies are competing for that business. Now, how are these electric companies paying for these special rates? Well, they're charging all of us for it in higher electric rates. It's simple. Now, I know this has gotten on the radar of a lot of regulators because people are saying, well, hey, is it really fair that we have the electric company has a monopoly on electricity? I can't go anywhere else to get my electricity, but yet they're allowed to give special rates to these large corporations who are building AI data centers, and they can pass that cost along to us. Now, in a regular free market, we'd just be able to change electric companies who aren't doing that, but we can't. The utility providers, for the most part, they have a monopoly, so we're stuck with them. So that's when regulators need to get involved and try and change that. And thus far, I haven't seen any laws being passed that are addressing this specifically. So as of right now, we can expect more and more power companies to give special deals to these companies who are building these AI data centers and passing the cost along to us. Now, reason number 2 electricity rates are going up is we're all paying for decades of neglect on the transmission lines and infrastructure. Now, the American electricity grid is an engineering marvel, but most of it these days are a museum piece. They were built out in the 60s and 70s. So we have to swap those transmission lines to be able to handle the demand that is just growing dramatically, especially from these AI data centers. And where does the money come to upgrade all these transmission lines? Well, It comes from us in the form of higher electricity rates. Now, reason number 3 electricity rates are going up is because still 40% of electric power plants are powered by natural gas. Well, the price of natural gas fluctuates quite dramatically. Now, we're shipping massive quantities of liquefied natural gas overseas to other countries. So there's increased demand on our supply. What does that mean? That means higher prices, which means those costs are passed along to us in higher electric rates. Now, the 4th reason electricity rates are going up is because decisions in Washington, D.C., and even at the state level, those decisions have consequences. Those decisions have a real impact on your budget and electric rates. For years, the federal government and even state governments have made renewable energy inexpensive because they've been giving tax credits. Even I took advantage of a 30% federal solar tax credit when I put my system in place. Well, if you don't purchase and commission your system by December 31st, 2025, you will no longer be able to get that federal solar tax credit. So as I'm making this video, that's a little less than 4 months from now you have to purchase that system and get it commissioned, which means at least probably plugging the battery into the inverter and powering it on to get that federal tax credit. So if you're looking to get a system, it's time to start making decisions quickly. Now you can download for free an equipment list and a wiring schematic of the system you see behind me here that I recommend for a whole home. You can download that by going to flexboss21.com. Knowing that download, I also share tips on how I save energy at night to not drain my battery bank before the sun comes up the next morning. In other words, I want to stay completely off grid with my system. Now, many states are going away from that 1-to-1, basically where if you sell back power to the grid, if you send back 1 kilowatt hour, you actually get to take 1 kilowatt hour back. They're doing away with that. That's becoming very common now. And I've seen agreements as bad as 6-to-1, where you have to send 6 kilowatt hours of energy back to the grid in order to get 1 kilowatt hour back. That's insane. That's going to push everyone into batteries, which I think is a good idea anyways, because I want to have power when the grid goes down. And most of these systems, if they don't have a battery bank and you're selling back to the grid, if grid power goes down, well, your home goes down with it. So I'd rather see you have batteries, but this 6-to-1 agreement it's just insane. It's going to push everybody into batteries. So what does that mean? That means less people are going to be sending power back to the grid going forward, which means the grid's not going to have that excess supply to be able to send out to other homeowners. So again, will that mean higher electricity rates? It's definitely possible. And the 5th reason electricity rates are going up, it's kind of a perfect storm. You've got everything being electrified. So millions of people are putting electric cars on the grid, and they take a lot of power when they are charging. A lot of people are going away from natural gas and going to electric ovens or induction cooktops, electric heaters, heat pumps instead of natural gas heaters. And even states are passing regulations that all new homes have to be all electric. They can't even use natural gas. So again, you've got a bigger strain, more demand on the grid for electricity as we go forward. And then you've also got extreme weather events too. We're seeing record heat in a lot of areas. So that means record amounts of electricity being used to power air conditionings. So as we see everything being electrified, more weather events that cause more strain on the grid, again, we're going to see higher and higher electricity rates. Right now, I don't see a scenario where something magic is going to happen to bring electricity rates down. I just don't see it. So now the question is, what can you do about it? Well, let me tell you what I did about it. I installed a whole home solar system with battery storage. I have 19 kilowatts of solar panels. I have a 30 kilowatt hour battery bank. And the way my inverter is programmed, I use solar and battery only for as long as I can. And for me, that's most of the time. I'd say 90 to 95% of the time, unless I have some multiple day of storms where it's really cloudy and I just go through my battery bank. But for the most part, I am off grid. I use solar and battery storage, and then if my batteries get drained down to 20%, then the grid automatically kicks in just to give me a little bit of power to make it until the sun comes up the next morning, and then my house goes right back automatically on solar and battery storage. Now, I do have a backup generator just in case there's no grid as backup that I can turn on, but right now, the cheapest form of backup power for me is still using the grid as backup rather than using propane or a propane generator, which is what I have right now. So my electric bill went from about $200 to $300 a month, depending on the time of year, and now it ranges between $30 and $40 a month. And really, $23 of that is the connection fee, the flat fee that I have to pay, no matter if I use no electricity or 1,000 kilowatt hours. It doesn't matter. Now, the way I could see things going is the electric company catches on as more and more people are doing this and using less electricity, that they increase that fixed connection fee. Well, if they did that, I'm fully prepared to just pull my meter and hand it to them and say, I'm done with you completely. And that's freedom that you can't put a price on, I can tell you that much. So I've had my system now for about 3 years and I love it. When the grid goes down, doesn't matter. I might see a little dim in the lights and that just tells me, oh, I better check my system. And sure enough, the grid may be down. I'm still running my house like I normally would, air conditioning, heating, literally everything. Cooking, my lifestyle does not change whether I have the grid or not. So if you want to do that as well, make sure to go to flexboss21.com, download that wiring schematic, that equipment list. It's free, and even by downloading that, you'll end up on my email list and you can respond directly to an email I send and ask me questions. I answer those emails personally. Now I can't guarantee to get to everyone, though I try to, but the volume of emails are growing, but I will do my best to get back to you. Now I installed the whole system myself because you'll save, thousands and thousands of dollars by doing the labor yourself. Now, a lot of you probably don't have the electrical experience I do, which I did work for an electrician in college for a few years, so I have a lot of that background. But if you don't, you can still do a lot of the install yourself. Just don't make the final connections. Hire a licensed electrician or solar installer to come in, make the final connections, basically do the dangerous part for you, and that'll save you thousands of dollars. I've got a ton of videos on my channel showing you how I've installed a lot of different equipment. Just scroll my channel, subscribe to the channel, and you'll start seeing recommended videos from me, so you'll be able to check those videos out and get more comfortable doing this yourself. Now, I'd love to hear in the comments what your electric rates are right now, and if you've been seeing them go up quite dramatically the last few years. So make sure you shoot a comment below. And that's it for now, everyone. Make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, as it really does help, as I only have about 14,000 subscribers, and I'd love to see that jump quite dramatically. Thanks, everyone. See you in the next video.